Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Testing, 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 testing. Okay, hi. Hi, 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 hi. Hopefully everything's okay. God bless you all. Hope we are all doing well. My man Sig, remember me? I don't. I'm kidding, Ezekiel. I love you, man. All right, so we are back streaming again. And again, I'm trying to make this a regular thing. And it's very hard because I know that it takes a lot of work to get these things done. I was spending all day just trying to fix like chat overlays and all that kind of stuff. You know, like I had a whole to-do list. And so, you know, we've been working on that and it's been good. You need a fandom name. I don't have a name for a fandom. Okay. I don't have a name to describe the people that watch me. I don't. And realistically, I shouldn't. I really shouldn't have a name to describe the people that watch me. Right? So here we are, okay? We're going to wait. We're going to give it some time for people to make their way in. This is a very controversial topic, okay? Because it's not a topic... Sorry, guys. Just taking out some gum. It's not a topic that's typically spoken about. But it is a topic that affects all Christians very, 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 very deeply. Especially the Christians that care enough to want to have Christianity as the guiding principle of the world for years to come. So if you are a Christian, this is going to be very, very important to you. Okay? So, okay, make sure you give a like and subscribe, share the video around, make sure people are coming in and, you know, showing love and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for everyone that is here, that is already showing love and things like this as well. So I want to say a special, massive thank you to you, the viewer, for watching the streams recently. We're going to do some prelim stuff about where this channel is going to go from henceforth and the things that I want to do with my channel as well. So number one, first things first, a lot of people ask me exactly what it is I do with my like research, what kind of a guy I am on the internet. And I want to be the space or person or creator that endorses a community that basically looks over the content that we have, that reviews it, that checks it, that looks at it and says, you know what, this is helpful information, this is unhelpful information, and whatever have you. And I feel as though that I want to take my content into the aspect and domain of reviewing. I want to be reviewing the debates. I want to be reviewing these conversations. And yeah, you know, I might come out here and debate once or twice. Not even once or twice. I might come out and debate a lot. Who knows, right? But I'm not going to go out formally challenging people. So you're not going to hear that from me. You're not going to expect that from me. That's not what my channel's about. That's not what I think debating should be about. I think someone should call someone else out, and then that's going to happen. I'm just not going to be doing the calling out. I'm not going to be doing the calling out. I don't think that it's necessarily conducive to much. I think it actually causes clout chasing, which is not what I want my channel to be remembered for at all. I don't want my channel to, at the end of the day, be remembered as just a place where people go if they want to chase clout. I want my channel to be remembered as a place and a forum for good information, the spreading of good things, the spreading of good information, and positivity and encouragement in those things. So, yes, if someone comes and challenges me to a debate, I might accept that debate challenge, you know, as you do. And I might not. And that's going to be dependent on whatever work I'm doing, whatever I'm having going on in my life. You know, I'm a full-time student at the end of the day. And so, you know, there was a time I went on break for a long time, and that was primarily because I couldn't be there for you guys to keep providing you the content that you guys wanted. And I'm not going to sugarcoat things for you guys. I'm not going to hide things from you guys in that is my life as a student. You know, I'm trying to be an academic. I'm trying my best to go into that lane. because we don't have any black academics, and certainly no black academics that actually talk about patristics. Like, let's ask a question, like, how many black people do you know that are content creators? Apart from all of my guys, all of my friends, like the G1s of the world, Size of the world, all those kind of things. Apart from those people, how many people do you know are actually out here doing philosophy in this way, or rather are actually out here doing patristics? I'm probably the only black guy that does patristics on the internet right now, or at least is known for doing patristics on the internet. And I am humbled by that fact, in that I am humbled that people see me as someone that they want to go to for that kind of information. But at the same time, I'm honestly, quite ashamed, because I understand that the black community, for real, can be very, very profitable, very, very fruitful in going over those kinds of things and reviewing that data. For those of you that don't know, patristics is just the study of the church fathers, okay? The study of the church fathers, the study of the early church. There aren't many people that are doing that. And this is not for me to prop up myself. This is not for me to do this. But it's more so a call for other black individuals to make work on patristics. Because if you are a black person and you are a Christian, patristic history is our history as well. It's not enough for us to only be liberation theologians. It's not enough for us just to be black theologians in the academic sphere. But we need to engage in early Christian history. Like, we have God Logic, for example, who's really good. We have Life, for example, who I like as well. But we don't necessarily have people that identify themselves in these theological disputes, not by their race, but by the actual content of what's going on. And so a lot of academics, respect to them, like, for example, Anthony Reddy, he's like the god of black theology. Amazing guy, love him. But a lot of people end up dictating what kind of theology they can do by the race that they are associated with and assigned to. And if you notice on my channel, I don't necessarily talk so much about my race or Nigeria, even though everyone knows I'm Nigerian. But this particular set of streams with this thumbnail, if you've clicked on the thumbnail, it's because you're interested. This particular stream is on colonialism and Nigeria, and the history of colonialism and how we got to this point. As in, how we got to the way that black people in Nigeria understand Christianity. That's what my stream is about. Okay? And I want to say super chats are on, as always. If you want to, help out and support the community, help a broke boy out, patreon.com/SIIIG if you like the content. So thank you for that. I'm also trying to set up something on WAP where you can actually send me directly things like this as well. So if you do want to help me out again in that way, WAP is a great way to send that as well. So that's WAP, SIIIG on WAP. I'm there. You can send donations and things like this. If you do head over to the Patreon, it's a place for you to have a good community. So if you like talking to people, things like this, that's it. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things. That's all the stupid promo stuff out the way, but I have to do it. Promo stuff out the way. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about in this stream is not just about, the way that Christianity is today, but also the way that Christianity in Nigeria existed in Nigerian history. So how Christianity came to Nigeria, why Christianity was received in Nigeria in such a way, and how through the reception of Christianity, Nigeria has been either positively or negatively affected by the kinds of Christianity that's in there. We have many kinds of Christians, okay? And we know that because of the Council of Trollo, right? Someone could be a Christian and believe in a heretical position. So an example, okay? If I go over here, right, and I go like this, okay, and look at that. I'm going to show you Canon 95. This is Canon 95. In Canon 95, you will notice, okay, that there is a level between being someone that is actually part of the structure of the church and being someone that is outside of any aspect of Christianity at all. Here, right, this is talking about the subject of rebaptism. But what we want to focus on is this sentence down here, which is that on the first day, we as the church make them Christians. And then, right, we make them catechumens, right? And then on the third day, we will exercise them and then initiate them. So for those of you that don't know what initiating is, this is when someone is baptized and received into the church, okay? This is what happens typically. You are a Christian, then you are a catechumen, and then you are an initiate. So there are people that are Christians that aren't within the, let's say, fold of the church because they are aspirant or they are trying to search after God in some way. So if you are trying to be nice to a fellow person, you go up to a Protestant, for example, if you're Orthodox. You can call the Protestant a Christian in that they are trying to follow after Christ by using the data that the church says about Christ, namely the Bible. And some Protestants use the data of the early church. So they are Christian in that they're doing that. But they're not Christian in that they are aspirant to the Orthodox Church or aspirant to the church in general, right? So when I refer to in these streams about multiple Christianities or Christianities, I want you to understand this is where I'm coming from. By this, I just mean the denominations, okay? That's all I mean by that. I'm not giving legitimacy to Catholicism. I'm not giving legitimacy to Protestantism in that they are just as Christian as, let's say, Orthodox Christianity, or that Orthodox Christians are just as Christian as Catholics. That is not what I'm saying. But for the ease of the conversation, it is important for you to understand clearly what I mean by when I open my mouth and say things. So when you hear in this stream, they were these Christians, they were Catholic Christians, or they were Protestant Christians, what I am referring to is the more denominationalized aspect of Christianity. That being said, I don't think that is the way that Christianity should be approached or understood. But this is the way that, unfortunately,
Gamron with £1.99. God bless you, bro. God bless you. Having a good evening.
I don't know why it's echoing, but I'm going to sort that out. Gamron with the 199. Thank you so much, Gamron. I really do appreciate it. He said, God bless you, bro. Hope you're having a good evening. Super chats are on, and they will come up like that as well on all of the pages. So if you are sending anything, once again, thank you so much. You guys are helping me study, pay bills and things. Like, thank you, honestly. Like, you guys are helping me so much. I don't deserve it, but I do want to say thank you. Really, I do. To continue, when we talk about Nigeria, it is important to understand that the Christianity that was received...
Gamron with £1.99. God bless you, bro. Hope you having a good evening.
No, it's just delayed. To understand how Christianity came in, we need to understand how actually Nigeria as a country was formed. So when you see, right, when you see the country of Nigeria like this, okay, like the actual nation, let's say something like this. If I can actually open up, that would be great. Or, yeah. So when you see Nigeria opened up like this, okay, typically people believe that this is what Nigeria is as a nation, okay? When you think of Nigeria, you think of this nation that you see here. This is what people think Nigeria is supposed to be like. This is what people think Nigeria is. If I told you that is not what Nigeria is, would you be shocked? If I told you this structure, this governmental entity, this state that you see on your screen, that is not how Nigeria functioned, you would not be surprised. Okay? Now, I'm not even going to talk about Biafra. And for those of you that don't know what Biafra is, it's a particular section within the Igbo community that basically splintered off from the mainline country of Nigeria and tried to declare independence by secession. They said, we want to be an independent republic. We have all the money. We have all the prosperity. We will get there. Don't worry. The Biafra-Nigeria war will be talked about. But it's important to set the scene. Nigeria was split. And I need to be clear. Jordan Flores with a 200.
Jordan Flores with $200. Gang.
Jordan, man, thank you so much, man. Honestly, nah, brother, come on, man. Jordan, thank you so much, man. This is what I'm saying. When the love is there, bro, I appreciate you guys. I honestly do. I honestly do appreciate you guys so much. Okay? But I have a WAP account now, so if you do want to help me out there, go over to my WAP, okay? And you can go and do whatever you want to do. There's $5 and £5 and £10 donations, and those are the maximum prices of donations I'm giving, okay? Now, to get back to this, okay, because I'm trying to stay focused. To get back to this, when it comes to the outscape, the landscape of Nigeria, this is what it looks like, okay? This is what Nigeria looks like. However, okay, it was not always like this in the colonial period. As a matter of fact, northern Nigeria was the protectorate under the UK, under the British Empire at the time. And so it was this entire slab of northern land that was pretty much under colonial rule. Okay? It was under colonial rule. Now, Lord Lugard, okay? Lord Lugard in 1912 was asked, there were private talks, to commission the south, okay, of Nigeria to be brought under British colonial rule. Okay? Now, this is very important. North and South Nigeria were split. They were actually two different protectorates, meaning they were two different polities, two different states under colonial rule. Obviously, we had Catholics that came over. They came over with chains and a Bible. Chains in one hand, the Bible in another. As well as, and this is really important, English colonials that also brought the Church of England over to Nigeria. And the Church of England in Nigeria is still running, right? If you look at the Anglican Church now, it's actually still one of the largest denominations, okay? Around 18 million, 19, 20 million, I want to say, around 20 million people are part of the Anglican Church. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to draw it out for you so that you can sort of understand, like, what we're dealing with here, right? I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to go on break for a bit whilst I set up my whiteboard, okay, guys? All right. Okay, is I've brought the whiteboard down, okay? I brought the whiteboard down so you guys can basically see what it is and, you know, typing and stuff. Give me a second, okay? Coming back. Yeah, I know. I'm back, guys. I'm back, okay? I'm back. Don't worry, okay? Don't worry. Now, to be very clear, last time we used the whiteboard, we were doing Muhammad hijab content, okay? We know that was what was going on. There was a huge scandal, and Muhammad hijab basically chickened out of actually responding to the alleged sister. And we say sister, but we all know what was actually going on was Muhammad hijab was essentially doing nonsense. Now I use this whiteboard all the time, so basically I have a sponge, as you can see here, but it's actually wet. So I had to use some tissue that I have in my room to do this. I actually found some. And I had to look everywhere, and I just found some lying around, which is nice. Okay. By the way, the Church of Nigeria is not identical to the Deuteronomic Church, okay? It's not identical to that. That particular Israeli group gets actually erased over time, okay? So to be clear, it's not the same as that. That's not what we are typically talking about or referring to. And a lot of people get that confused. And they get that confused because what they want to do is basically identify and align Nigeria with oppression.
Walk with the Spirit with $2 New Zealand dollars. Can't hear you, bruh. Walk with the Spirit with $2 New Zealand dollars. Can't hear you, bruh. Can't hear you, bruh.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? No? What if I, okay. I think if I put it like this, it should be fine now. Okay. Now, here's the thing, okay, about Nigeria. Here's the thing. When it came to Nigeria, there was a split between protectorates, okay? So the protectorates, right, were split. And they were split between what we understand as the North and the South, okay? And they were split for governmental and economic reasons, okay? I don't know if this is clear. I think that it's not clear enough. Hold on, let me just make sure it's clear enough. Is it? All right, guys, the focus needs to be, okay. I need the focus to come back, actually. Okay. Hello? Okay, you guys can hear me, but for some reason, it's not clear. Why is it, what's going on, mate? If I go delete and I go back. Come on, cameraman, I need you to help me out here. I need you to help me focus up. Alright, okay. Alright, okay. So, this is the best thing I can do, okay? I apologize for this, okay? I'm going to move the chat over here so that it doesn't distract from what we're doing, okay? So, it was split between the North and the South protectorates, okay?
Luke with $1
and what's important to understand, is how the protectorates ran in Nigeria. The North Protectorate, okay, was well governed. Okay? I'm going to put that in air quotes because it was well governed for the empire. So it was easy to subjugate. And at the time, the North were predominantly Muslim, as it is today, actually, okay? They predominantly were Christianized groups, but they would become the Muslim northern tribes, Hausa and Fulani, that we know and love today, okay? This was the North. But the problem with the North was, essentially, it was broke. Although it was a although it was a colony, and colonies do make us money, the colony in question did not make the empire the money that the South did. As a matter of fact, the South were rich. Okay? They had all the ports. They had all the natural resources. And the most important part about all of this, they actually had a better infrastructure. And by infrastructure, I mean a socio-cultural infrastructure, whereby these two things, which are the ports and the natural resources, were easily cached. Okay? So they were more of an interconnected system. The problem, obviously, with all of this, as any of you might be suggesting right now, is the fact that, and I'm going to just put this down because it might be noisome to some people. Okay? The problem with this, ultimately, rests in the fact that, basically, the South was very hard to govern because the people of the South, unfortunately, or rather, in the case of Nigeria, fortunately, they were volatile, okay? They were a volatile group of people. And this does not just include Biafra, but pretty much all of the Southern Protectorate, okay? The Southern Protectorate at the time, and this is really important, the Southern Protectorate at the time was still under colonial rule, but it wasn't as strongly in colonial rule as the North. The North could be governed very easily. And this is a very simplistic history, but this is what we need to know. The North was very, very easily governed. The South wasn't, but the South was rich whilst the North was broke. And so, Lord Frederick Lugard, who is the guy that we are thankful for today, Frederick Lugard, okay, and I'm spelling his name wrong on purpose. It has an E before the R. Right? Frederick Lugard, this man, is responsible for the unification of both North and South into one nation. So, before our independence in 1960, before the independence of the Nigerian nation in 1960, this guy created the nation state that we come to know and love as Nigeria. He was tasked to, in 1912, I believe, unite the North and the South together to form one country. So that you would basically govern from the North, but take the resources from the South and transport them back to the motherland, or in this case, Britain, okay? And this worked for a couple decades. And this is especially on the cusp of World War I, right? World War I happens in 1914, as we all know, right? It happens in 1914, ends at 1918. The unification of both North and South, this unification is completed in 1914. And so, just in time for the beginnings of World War I, and Britain as a European power to try to get its power back, we actually have the formation of a new, large and in charge African nation. Nigeria, everybody. Okay? As a matter of fact, if you want to know what Nigerian looked like, okay? If you want to know what our flag looked like, for those of you that don't want to know, this was actually done on January the 1st, okay? So this was actually done before World War I actually began, okay? If you want to know what the colonial Nigerian protectorate was, okay, it actually looked something like this. I'm going to show you now. That is the flag. So you can see there, the Southern Nigeria Protectorate is this flag. That's the Southern Nigeria Protectorate. And it was just very, very volatile. It couldn't really do well. And then you have this protectorate that basically came through here. Some people may be asking, how did Islam come through? Islam had always been something in that particular region, and it grew with a sense of community. It grew in that way as the protectorate went on. They actually used it. Now, and this is something very, very important. We're looking at the start of Christianity rather than Islam. Pardon me. What's important now is this is the landscape, this is the nation that we all come to know and hate, which is colonial Nigeria. This is colonial Nigeria right now. However, colonial Nigeria wouldn't stay too long. As we know, right, from 1914 to 1960, this is a unified Nigeria, right? And you can do the math on that as well, okay? So it actually isn't that long that Nigeria has been united as a nation, as a state, okay? It has not been that long. It hasn't been that long. As a matter of fact, there are people probably in chat that are older than the time span between 60 and 14. And it was imperative that Nigeria get the South, colonial Nigeria, get the South under control because of the resources that were in the South. If you notice now, if you go to any Nigerian map today, you will notice that in the South, particularly both Southeast and Southwest, right, all of the major cities that actually bring in the wealth of the country, all the cities that bring in the wealth of the country, all of the cities that bring in the wealth of the country are down south till this day. There is not a single city, for example, in the north that would bring in as much as Port Harcourt, as an example. Okay? Not a single one. Lagos was in the south for a reason. And it was in the south because of how it connected with the rest of the southeast and west. They moved the capital to Abuja so that they could maintain their power over the north. But they couldn't maintain their power over the north for so long. Because as we all see, in the modern day, there is banditry. When we will talk about banditry, when we go to the modern geopolitics that's going on with Christianity and Islam in the north. Okay? They moved it to Abuja because Abuja is in the center of the country. Okay? The capital city used to be, as we know, down in Lagos. Okay? Lagos is further down. But the problem that we have now is we want to maintain control of the north a bit more. So we moved it a bit higher north, just a bit higher north. It's not in the northern part, right? Abuja is actually Igbo land. They moved it a bit higher north so that they can control or maintain control over the north a bit more. The same reason why they got lugard in 1912 is the same reason they actually have Abuja as the capital today now. Okay? Now, with that being said, we then have a couple of republics, okay? Nigeria is very famous for having, like, multiple republics. From its independence in 1960 till now, we've had 4 different republics. You have to understand that over the past course of around 25 years or so, or even 30 years, right? In the lifespan of 30 years, there were 4 different republics in a single country. Now, the reason as to why, and this is really important, the reason as to why I'm even talking about this country is because of its population. Okay? Now, for those of you that are saying that Abuja is not Igbo land, I don't care, you're a colonizer, okay? I don't care. As we know, it's in the middle belt, but the predominant speaking language there, in terms of cultural languages, would be Igbo as well. Although it's a melting pot now, okay? Bear in mind, Nigeria as a land isn't just split between north and south and middle. The middle belt is part of the south in some regions and part of the north. The same way in the UK, the Midlands is really weird to define in the UK. Some people say that the north starts when you leave London. Some people say the north starts when you go past Manchester. Some people say the north starts when you go past Cambridge or Oxford or whatever place. Okay, so there's no real definition. But what we need to know is between 1914 and 1960, there is this massive proliferation of Christianity in the region. Particularly, right, these 2 main religions. Anglicanism and Catholicism. Now, Catholicism had been around as early as the 1800s. Anglicanism sort of follows its suit as well. But more importantly than that, we now have the growing increase of secularization. See, when Nigeria declared independence in 1960, what happened was in 1960 is they decided to set up a republic, right? And so what they wanted to do was separate the church, or the idea of what the church was, or religiosity in general, namely the white man's religion, from the country. But they ended up adopting, this is really weird, they ended up adopting a westernized form of government, which is a republic. Not a single tribe was ever a republic. You had the Yoruba people who ran with Obas, right, as their king, or as their leaders as well. You had the chiefs in Nigeria, or in Igbo land, or the Igwes, right? But all of these places were kingdoms. They were all kingdoms or states. They weren't tribes. Bear in mind, Nigeria has around 170 million people, okay? Igbo land alone is around 35 to 40 million people. Yoruba land is around 50 million people. Since when have we ever called a population size of 40 million people a tribe? When did we ever do that? We only do that with Nigeria because they're black. That's the actual only reason why. It's because of colonialism. Now, you can understand it as a tribe insofar as you're talking about a people-speaking group, but we shouldn't have to accommodate their language to those kinds of things. Rather, you should refer to them as what they are, which are lands, or peoples, or cities, or nations. These were all different kingdoms within a larger nation-state. Or, rather, because they weren't a state, right, they didn't have an organized set government that they all agreed with, right, they were actually a particular land people. And we see that, for example, in the South Asian steppe, in Malaysia, or in Mongolia, right? Where all the Mongol tribes, we call them, they're not actually tribes, they were actually peoples and kingdoms with their own particular laws and customs, and yet they had a particular universalizable category of laws that all united them together. Principles that if one kingdom was to go against the other in an uninformed way, the other kingdoms would step in. It's the same reason why the English, even though the English, even at this time, were less than the Nigerians, even in Igbo land, it's a reason why the English themselves, the English weren't a tribe. They were a country. They were a state that had a king, that had laws, that had a governmental structure. However, Nigerians had the same thing. Igbos had the same thing. Yorubas had the same thing. Hausa had the same thing. Fulani had the same thing. Edo had the same thing. Benin, same thing. They all had the same thing. They all had independent governmental structures with states, with laws, with taxes, and culture, and particularly state religion that would govern the laws of that land, and a liturgical calendar. A calendar that would actually influence how you would act during the day, how you would act during the week, and most importantly, how you would act during the year. So this is really important to understanding whatever's going on here. Now, as we know, okay, and I'm gonna do some trivia for you guys. Could you guys tell me, please, what was the religion of Yoruba land? Please tell me. What was the traditional religion of Yoruba land? Could you please tell me? Chat, go ahead. So Silawan is correct. It is a form of animism. And bear in mind, all of these particular things were aspects of animism. They are usually incorrectly understood as animist religions, right? Because we want to analytically categorize them, but they're not objectively animists, just to be clear. Ifa, whoever said Orisha, you're correct, okay? So Yoruba land had Orisha or Orishi, okay? This was how they had it in Yoruba land. In Igbo land, what we had was Odinala, okay? Basically, these are the two particular spiritual traditions that we had, okay? It's where we get the phrase Oluwa from in Yoruba land and Chukwu in Igbo land. Both of which mean God in their respective particular languages. Okay? Now, with the rise of Anglicanism and Catholicism, no. The Ordinala was Igbo land religion. Ordinala was like the traditional Igbo land religion. Matter of fact, hold on. Hey, could you come, please? Yes, come.
Well, you're a Nigerian expert.
You don't. That's crazy. You don't need to put your face on the camera. Do you want a mask or something?
No, because you don't in Nigeria.
Because I'm on stream. I just need them. I just need to confirm something.
Students, not as students.
Okay. Wait. Just stand there. Because you might be. I don't want you to be in shock. Okay. Say hi.
Hi.
Come on. You gotta be like.
Hi.
Okay, guys. Can you hear her? Okay. So, what is the traditional religion of Igbo land? What's traditional religion?
Traditional religion.
Yes, bro. Like our tradition. What's it called?
We are Igbos.
Yeah, but like, what in Igbos is our traditional like something? What do we call it?
There are different type of tribes in Igbo now.
Yeah, I know, but like Jesus, as in like the gods that we worship, blah 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 blah, like the ancestors, all that kind of stuff. Cool. That has a name. That whole system has a name.
There are different gods now.
Yeah, but they have a name, like all of them together with everything that we do.
Chukwu, is it Chukwu, Abi?
Chukwu is God.
They
Yeah.
have Amadioha.
Amadioha is a god. Amadioha is a
Yeah,
god.
they are different.
Ekwensu is like demon or
Devil.
something. Okay, so like, what is? Do you know the name of it?
I don't know the names though.
So I'm saying you're not educated, bro. I'm kidding. So it's Ordinala. Surely.
I don't know.
Yes, bro. Deep it, bro. You don't know the.
Ordinala looks like their practice. Igbo practice.
The practice,
for
yes.
gods,
Yeah, that's what I
how it
mean.
looks like, yes.
That's like the name of it all together. Like when we refer to it and like we're studying it, that's the name that we give it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so like, okay. Do you think the majority of people in Igbo land practice Igbo religion?
No, not anymore now.
Not anymore. Why?
Most of them now are into like they're diabolical, very diabolical now. Some of them go to church.
Yeah.
Some they worship whatever they worship. That is diabolic means and all that.
Right.
Some too used to remember their gods whenever they eat. They give their gods whatever they give their gods
Yeah.
before eating. So it's different.
Right. It's different. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Brad. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you. Anyway, I think I've made my point. I think I've made my point pretty clear. Okay. So this is my point. Okay. By the way, guys, that's my cousin. She's from Nigeria, so she's coming. She's like staying with us and stuff. So like that's it. But yeah, that's my Nigerian cousin. My point being, guys, when we talk about Nigeria as a nation state, they are going to have a larger population than the US of A by like 2050, 2055. And we know that because they are already half the population of America with 100 times worse of an economic and sociocultural state. Imagine, like, I want you to understand, right, how crazy the population growth of Nigeria is, just for a second, okay? So we'll get back to Anglicanism, we'll get back to, stuff. Let's put America on one side, okay? And let's put Nigeria on the other side, okay? Right now, America's population is around 330 million people, okay? Population of 330. Nigeria has 170 million. So over half of the people that are... So Nigeria has a population of over half of that of America. Okay? Sorry, someone said 223. Let me check my stats again. Sorry guys. I don't want to give you guys wrong information. What is the population of Nigeria right now? Can someone check for me? I'm checking it now. I don't want to be wrong. Right now, the population as it sits right now is 236. So I'm actually way closer. This is actually much better to my point, actually. 230, let's say 240 million people. Let's round it up, okay? So over half of the people in America are in Nigeria, okay? So, if we have 240 million Nigerians, 330 million Americans, and bear in mind the population of America, I don't know if it's growing or decreasing. I know it's an aging population for sure. America has infrastructure, okay? Now, what are things like infrastructure? You have roads, communal buildings, right? Right, communal buildings, logistical sites as well, right? All of these things America has. America also have a stable, if you want to call it that, or a stabler culture, okay? America is a secular state, right? But if you notice, America is actually into ruin. What is preserving America's power is its army. Its massive army, and ultimately, its obscene military spending. This is what is preserving America as the most powerful country in the world, or at least one of the most powerful countries in the world as well, right? This is something that is actually going on. But there's also, more importantly, right, a uniform language. So you have uniform language and education, i.e., the educational level of the average American is going to be more predictable than the average education of a Niger man. Reason being, I'm not saying, and this is really important for you to listen to, I am not saying that the average American is smarter than the average black person. There's no way to actually tell that, okay? There's no way that you can look at the actual property of intellect. You can look at how it's applied, but you can't look at the actual property of intellect and see whether or not white people actually have a particular quality of intellect that black people somehow lack. Because actually, if you go up the upper echelons of black people, you will see that actually black people do perform most of the time better than white people in their compatriots. Not to start drama, start fights, just saying. Okay?
Very interesting.
What I am saying, and this is really important, what I am saying is, oh sorry.
Yeshua is Lord with 20 pounds. Well done, bro. This is great. Very interesting. I pray Jesus protects believers in Nigeria. Africa is the future of Christianity.
Yeah, so, to listen very carefully, my point is not that white people in America are smarter than black people in Nigeria. My point, and to be very clear, is that the predictability of intelligence in America is higher than the predictability of intelligence in Nigeria. As in, I can predict how smart a white person in America is going to be based on a uniform educational system. I can actually track how smart this person is right now, and I can track their trajectory. Unless you are rich, or have connections, or are so blessed by the Lord of the heavens himself that you choose to pick up a book and read, particularly into your own culture, and then the translation traditions about that, Nigeria will not be able to predict how uniform your intelligence will be. This is why, on the one hand, you will have incredibly intelligent and capable fellows in Nigeria. You will have so many individuals that are so intelligent in Nigeria, but it's like unexpected, like we couldn't predict this. But you will also have people in Nigeria that are insanely stupid as well. Some are politicians as well as just being normal people. But the problem is we can't track and trace the intelligence of the average Nigerian because there's no system in place to do that. With the church, you would. You would be able to actually track and trace that because the church would be able to assess them. The church would be able to teach. The church would be able to, in a uniform way, track the relation to whatever particular end we want to get to the state that the person is in now. But by rejecting Catholicism and Protestantism, namely Anglicanism, Nigeria rejected what Catholicism and what Anglicanism was bringing, not because of the content itself, but because the content itself was brought in such a way that it actually led to the denigration and deterioration of the newly formed Nigerian state. Okay? if I asked you, how old is your grandmother? And you told me maybe 70, maybe 80, 85. Fine, right? Nigeria is 65 years old. It is 65 years old. So if Nigeria as 65, bear in mind, right? America has been around since 1776, okay? I believe. And someone can correct me on that. I know they had the Articles of Confederation, which sucked. And then they had the Declaration of Independence. But we'll basically say 1776, okay? So 1776 is how long baby America's been in. And we still say America is a baby. We still say America's a baby country. It hasn't been around for that long. It's a newly formed state. Blah, 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 blah. Right? We still say that for America. Okay? Right? So, as a state, it's around 249 years old. And in 2026, it will be America's 250th birthday. That's how old America is. Nigeria, in contrast, it's have almost as big as a population as America. Put this into perspective. America has been around for 249 years as a nation, as a singular state. Not just the 13 colonies, but now the entirety of its manifest destiny. It's been around for 249 years, and it's got a population of around 330 million. Nigeria has a population of 240 million, almost as much as America, give or take. It's been around for 65 years. Do you understand? Nigeria, as an actual nation state that's independent from colonial rule, has only been around as old as 65 years. We have nation states that are older than this. We have people's grandmothers. My grandmother is older than my country. Do you understand that? Now, we're not even talking about Frederick Lugard's protectorate. We're not talking about the United Protectorate, because then we would be able to date Nigeria to the injunction of the First World War. Right? We would actually be able to track Nigeria ultimately to around Nigeria. If it's 1914, it would be around, I would like to say, 110 years. Right? It would be around 111 years from World War I. If my math is correct, 1914 to 2025 will be 111 years. So my country could be half as old as America, which puts things in an even crazier perspective. We are literally half of where America is. And this is why the potential is really good. America is literally twice ahead of us in everything. They are ahead in infrastructure, in their stable culture, and in their particular military and police spending. Okay? To be very clear, the problem with Christianity in Nigeria was how it came about. Christianity was brought to Nigeria with shackles and a Bible. And so proper conversion efforts in Christianity were unsustainable. When the colonies broke off, they did it with colonialism, yes. But those particular slaves themselves were all Christian. And they used Christian values to found and protect the values they sought there and build in different ways with technological advances, infrastructural advances, sociocultural advances, educational advances, and most importantly, military advances. These were all the different ways that they could do it because of the foundation of Christianity. And more importantly, the kind of Christianity that they were. Nigeria, as a case study on Christianity, has noticed that the existence of Catholicism could never run as a nation state. You see, Nigeria is technically not one country. Not the way that England is, right? Every single particular village, town, or city in England, although they have their various cultural beliefs, particular dialectical differences, sociocultural schemes as well, they all actually share in a greater sociocultural framework that is English. I am from England. This is England. Now, that used to be synonymous with the crown and the empire as an extension, but recently people have called into question the crown and England. What Nigeria is a country that is filled with multiple different countries with multiple different goals and multiple different dreams. But because of colonialism, they have been action-packed, they've just been jam-packed into one state. The situation, and this is really important with Nigeria, the situation of Nigeria could be more comparable to the situation of the United Kingdom before its unification, of Great Britain. Great Britain is a state, one state, but that state has 4 countries: England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. There are 4 different countries with 4 different governments. Okay? But within these 4 different governments, there is an overarching state of the United Kingdom, all under the crown, and the head of state secures the proliferation of these 4 nations. And we saw throughout their history, there's always been conflict between the Irish, the English, the Scottish, the English, the Welsh, pretty much everyone with the English. Okay? All of these things are conflicts. So what I'm actually pointing out to you isn't just a negativity about the nation of Nigeria, but rather a conscious look at how far we've come from colonialism. But it's not supposed to be for the abandonment of Christianity. Because the structure, the very structure of the nation is such that in order to break away, you would need your own religious scheme to keep the citizens and denizens accountable. Because if you don't have an underlying list of values, of which can be consignable even onto its own government, then the nation will fail. The same way that as soon as America, in sense, left its particular Christianized values, we now have a socio-cultural war in which people are pointing out the fact that I don't really like democracy, or I think fascism is cool now, or rather, I want anarchy. On both sides of the political aisle. These are problems. Now, Catholicism in particular, we're going to analyze the 3 particular religions and cultures that basically existed in Nigeria throughout the First, Second, and Third Republic with, for example, Muhammad Buhari, things like this, as well as, and this is more important, as well as the rise of what I like to call the Nigerian intellectual, okay? So we have Catholicism, we have Anglicanism, and I'm going to include Protestantism or Pentecostalism. And I'm also going to leave out a particular aspect of Christianity that we all know that I'm probably going to talk about. But I'm going to leave it out because I'm not going to talk about it here, okay? Again, we're going to have multiple streams on the different aspects of what's going on in Nigeria. For example, this is all on colonialism, so how Christianity has succeeded in colonialism until now. So, after 1960, as we all know, right? After 1960 and around 1964, we have the very first civil war and only civil war that ever happens in Nigeria, which is the Nigeria-Biafra War. For those of you that don't know what the Nigeria-Biafra War is, okay, it is the war of a certain section within southern eastern Nigeria that decided to splinter off from the main country or state of Nigeria, the Republic. Biafra wanted to be a country in their own right. They had the money to do so, the people to do so, and apparently an army to do so. But what's even more interesting is that this war actually lasts, I believe, until the 1970s, I want to say. And if I'm incorrect, then I'm obviously going to shoot myself in the foot and basically say how stupid I am and how dumb I am about this sort of particular topic. And then I'm basically talking out of my left backside. But I'm pretty sure that the Nigeria-Biafra War did happen between those particular time periods. Could someone check that for me? I want to say 1964 till either 1967 or 1970. I just don't want to be incorrect. Could someone please check that for me? I appreciate you. Thank you. Let me just, I'll just search up right now. Nigeria, Biafra, yeah, Nigeria-Biafra War. Yeah, 1967, sorry, to 1970. So, the war starts in 1967, and it ends in 1970. Talks of this war, of this conflict, actually begin basically as soon as 1960 is a thing, right? What happens, though, and this is really interesting, right? What actually causes these particular racial tensions is a 1966 pogrom, okay? Now, for those of you that don't know what pogrom is, okay, it's when you genocide a bunch of people. You basically axe off a bunch of people purely because of their race. They ethnically cleansed around 30,000 Nigerians in the space of 1 year, Igbo people, and 1 million Igbo people flee from the north, which is now predominantly Muslim, all the way down to the south. Okay? So, the Biafra War started in 1967, and it's mainly because of the racial and religious tensions between the heavily Christianized Igbo land and Yoruba land, the heavily Christianized land of Igbo and Yoruba that are trying to deal with traditional religion and Catholicism and Anglicanism and Pentecostalism, which are... Pentecostalism is just being born in this period as well. Pentecostalism in Nigeria is really taking a foothold now. Catholicism is obviously doing its thing in Igbo land, and in Yoruba land, they're trying to solve the tension between tradition as well as traditional religion and belief, as well as, the Christianized, the Christianized religion of the Anglophone world, right? Of the Anglophone world. This pogrom was caused by the Northerners. The Northerners, in 1966, axed off 30,000 Igbo people. 1 million Igbo people ran and fled for their lives down south. So now we have a coalescing of the Igbo people in the south. And this is what kicks off the Biafra War. Until then, Igbo people had a nexus in the south, a hub in the south, but Igbo people were very much spread around sometimes. With that pogrom, protectionism of the people, and by protectionism, I don't particularly mean making policies in line with protection of the people, although that's going to come into that. But ultimately, a tribalism, a true tribalism, forms with the Igbo people to protect their own. And this is what happens with the Nigeria-Biafra War. The Nigeria-Biafra War kicks off in 1967, ends in 1970. And then, what's interesting is the weirdness that takes place with the people that end up funding this particular war. Okay? There are particular individuals that fund the Nigeria-Biafra War. Okay? And they fund this war in different ways. The British government obviously help the mainland Nigeria because they want an ally. The US as well as China. Okay? Now, I'm going to play you a sound for you to work out who exactly funded Biafra more. They did fund Biafra more. But I want you to tell me who exactly funded Biafra. Remember, the secessionist state that would splinter Nigeria more. Who were the state that funded Biafra? You guys can put your guesses in the comments now. You can put your guesses in the chat for who funded Biafra. I'm going to let you guys guess. Some people are saying China, some people are saying the Soviets, some people are saying Russia, Haiti. Some people are saying Russia, a lot of people are saying Russia. I like that. Some people are saying Russia. I like that. I like that a lot. Listen to the music. So it was Israel. Israel funded Biafra. Why? We don't know. But we can speculate that the secessionism would have meant a new powerful Igbo state that basically could have been what essentially Dubai is for the Middle East today, as well as what Saudi Arabia is for the Saudis. See, if Biafra was successful in their secessionism, they would never have to rely on the North again, and more importantly, they would be a true republic that was basically for the Igbo people, by the Igbo people. Probably it would have been very successful as well as a particular military effort, but what would have happened in terms of its sociocultural scheme would have been more severe. See, as Biafra being the conquerors, if they were able to actually win their secessionist state, they most likely, in return for the 1966 program, they most likely would have hit for one important thing. Conquest. See, expansionism may have been on the cards by beating them, right? When you win a war, you get reparations from the losers, right? And so, not only would Biafra have culturally succeeded, as yes, we were independent, we were able to conquer, yes, but they would also be able to be economically benefited from basically the rest of northern Nigeria paying the South tribute, which is what they always wanted. More importantly than that, they would have been able to set their eyes on further north, or rather even west, to conquer more. In which basically the Nigeria that we come to know and love now is going to be basically what Biafra is, what Nigeria is today. So Nigeria could have just been Biafra, maybe a smaller state. We will work out the kinks. But if Biafra wins, there would be a true Biafran identity and ultimately a subjugation of all of the particular cultural schemes here. And basically, what Biafra would have done is manifest their destiny just like America.
But Real Madrid is cooked and Arsenal is going through. Can we finally see Arsenal winning UCL trophy?
Thank you. So that's basically what's going on. Sorry if it's echoing. I'm going to definitely fix that in post. But that's basically what's going on. Now, I'm going to show you a short video, which basically just goes through the particular sides in the Civil War, right? Bear in mind, you're going to see a lot of key players that are playing today. And the reason why they're fighting over Nigeria, bear in mind, very early on, okay? Very early on in its republic's history, we were already seeing people fight over this nation, fight over being allies with this nation, okay? I want you to notice and see why this is happening. This is a very good video. It's basically History Matters, right? Very easy. Let's go through it.
Cold War was filled with civil wars and revolutions, and normally those civil wars would see the US-led West on one side with the communist world on the other. But when the Nigerian Civil War kicked off in 1967 and saw this region break away as the Republic...
See? Biafra. Now, I don't actually live in Biafra, although Biafra would have basically conquered me anyways.
of Biafra, the sides were much less clear. The Nigerian government was backed by the UK, the USA, sort of, the USSR, and Israel.
So notice, listen to what was going on. Israel supported mainline Nigeria. Like I said, they supported Biafra, but they supported mainline Nigeria. Why did they support mainline Nigeria, you may ask? Because it is within Israel's interest to have Nigeria as a mainline state. They know the power that Nigeria have. They wanted to invest from early, the same way Israel invested in the US from early. But you might be asking, the Cold War is happening at this time. Why is the US, who is allies with the UK, why are they supporting the same country that the USSR is supporting? Because every single country understood how important Nigeria as the nexus of Africa could be in the next 80 years. They knew that. They knew it. And so they wanted to get in from early. So notice, we all know, a lot of people know, oh, we don't like Israel. Israel's not good. Israel are bad allies. Israel has no business going into Africa. They actually have no reason to do it, apart from levying something that they might need in the future for the proliferation of its own state, for its own people in the future. And so, mainline Nigeria has Israel, as well as the UK and the USSR, and sometimes America, to thank for the existence of Nigeria as the green, white, and green that we all come to know and love. But what's interesting is Israel did not just fund mainland Nigeria, or Nigeria the nation. They also funded Biafra. And that's because Biafra also had a prospect to win in this war. They had a lot of natural resources, and if we actually had a Biafran victory, it would be within the interest of Israel to set up good, long-standing trade negotiations with them, both on just economic materials and raw materials, but also, more importantly, weaponry. See, Israel funded weapons to Biafra, even though they supported the main state. So listen up.
Whereas Biafra was backed by the People's Republic of China, France, and also Israel.
So notice, China backed Biafra, France backed Biafra as well. But last time I checked, France and Britain were allies. So you actually have multiple allies, some reason, that are friends with each other. You have multiple allies supporting, acting as proxies in a war that is opposing the particular allies that you have. Why is this the case? It's because all of these Western powers realized how important Nigeria actually is going to be, given the fact that it's basically the new America. Okay? It's basically the new America. Look at what I've written over here. America has a population of 330 million in the space of 249 years. Nigeria has gotten 2/3 that population in half the time. In more than half the time. Okay? If I actually do this on a calculation right now, if I go 249 divided by 65, right? In almost 4 times less time, Nigeria has 2/3 of America's population. What America has done in almost 250 years, Nigeria has done in almost 4 times less amount of time and resources. But Nigeria have the potential to be one of the strongest countries in Africa, definitely, probably the strongest country in Africa, because they are the richest country in Africa right now, but they have the power to be the strongest and dominant country in Africa, both on the cultural level, as we're seeing even right now, as well as on the economic and military level, as well as be a key global figure in the world. They are a key figure in the world right now, but they could be more key, and this is really important. And people don't tell you this, they don't educate you on this, because they need to feed the narrative that Nigerian countries are basically way behind. They're not. It's just that there are certain things that are really, really behind, but they are catching up. And they need a particular religious structure to do so. And it can't be Catholicism, and it can't be the aspects of Protestantism that's been tried, and it certainly can't be Islam, given how Islam contradicts the particular values that uphold human dignity. No offense to any of the Muslims. I appreciate you guys for watching my stream, but what I said, I said. Thank you.
And given that both sides were...
And actually, you can prove that, given the way that the North and the South both actually contribute to the GDP of Nigeria. See, the Muslim half is in the North, and the Christian half is in the South. There's actually 54%, 45% Christian Muslim now. And if you notice, all of Nigeria's resources and money practically come from the South. So Christianity, as well as colonialism, post-colonial effects in these different republics had a positive economical aspect of Christianity in the South, did not harm the South. It actually improved the South majorly. But the North was very much affected by Islam. They do not make as much money as the South. So in fact, if North and South Nigeria were to split away, the north of Nigeria would just be swallowed up and annexed by other countries. Or it would basically be left to its deliberation. Why would you practice the religion of the people who colonized your country? I am not a Catholic, and I am not a Pentecostal, and I am not an Anglican. So I do not practice any of the colonial aspects of Christianity that actually came. I do not practice any of the denominations of Christianity that came through colonialism. I actually do not practice that. I'm actually aspirant to Orthodox Christianity for one of these reasons. Because Orthodox Christianity was never brought to Nigeria through chains. It just wasn't there. There are zero Orthodox churches in Nigeria. The Orthodox churches that are there in Nigeria are actually heretical Orthodox churches. So I do not actually practice any of those particular religions as well. All right. And even if I did believe in Christianity, it was brought through wrong means, it wouldn't matter if it's true. You know, like if someone brought science and they used like scientific discovery, again, scientific discovery is fine. It's completely okay. So there's no issue if it's true. But let's go back.
Such a confusing mess, this raises an obvious question.
Mm-hmm.
What on earth happened?
Yeah.
Why did the Nigerian Civil War have such weird sides? So, like many conflicts in Africa during the Cold War, the roots of the Nigerian
was oil. It was oil, natural resources. We all know this.
Civil War can be traced back to the end of colonial rule there.
Yes, because it ended in 1960, but technically the nation actually was created very much earlier than that in 1914 with the injunction of the First World War. Nigeria was not created as a nation state for the purpose of having another state under Nigerian rule. Nigeria was created as a nation state, particularly, and this is really important, particularly because the UK needed the South's resources, and they needed it under the particular governmental structure that they had in the North. It was literally created as a state. Simply for the proliferation of the UK's resources. That was it.
Nigeria gained its independence from Britain in 1963. It was a very diverse country made up of many different peoples, whom Britain clumped together because it made the map look nicer. In the
But this is not entirely true. It's not just that they clumped them together because it made the map look lighter. It's because they had two different halves of the state, and it made no sense having two different governmental structures, so you might as well just combine them. That's why.
North, the largest region in the country, the House of Fulani people were dominant, and they were the ones who made up the majority of Nigeria's military and were predominantly Muslim.
The army of Nigeria is predominantly Muslim. Now, that's changing today, but you will notice with the banditry in the north, you have Muslim brothers who are supposed to deal with that in the north, but they won't because they're Muslim.
The Yoruba were the largest group in the southwest, and they were the wealthiest, and their region housed Nigeria's current capital.
Bear in mind, see how far south the capital is? Abuja is here in the middle, in the center. But it's all the way down there. Abuja is up here in the center. Lagos is down here because it's rich. But it's not just that the southwest is rich. The southeast actually has a lot of resources.
And the southeast was mostly made up of the Igbo people, whose land was home to much of Nigeria's massive oil reserve.
See, the natural wealth is in the south. In the southeast, they have all of the natural resources and intellectual culture. And in the southwest, they have the infrastructural capacity to be able to compete with these particular nations in Europe, let's say.
Long story short, after Britain left, the three groups couldn't decide on where the capital would stay, how much autonomy everyone would get, and who would be allowed into the army.
Yeah. Now, bear in mind, the military aspect of the Fulani is why Nigeria actually remained Nigeria remained a particular huge nation state. It's not enough to have money; you need to have an army, and so this is why America, with all of its money, focused so much on military spending. They have to maintain the cultural and political identity as being the strongest country in the world, with the strongest army. They have to do this, and it's smart. Also, by the way, it's not an Oriental Orthodox Church that's in there. It's a true Orthodox Church. True Orthodoxy is a heresy in the Orthodox Church because they actually reject the new calendar, and they schismed from the church as a result of that. They're very easy to come back into communion with. In fact, there have been many efforts to come back into communion with many of those TO churches all over the world. But Nigeria is just a case where there's only TO churches, so there's no actual canonical, real Orthodox churches that are under the Patriarchate of Alexandria or under the Ecumenical Patriarchate, who should be doing its job.
1966, there was the military coup, shortly followed by a counter-coup, and honestly, a lot of people were purged. Ethnic violence exploded, and hundreds of thousands of Igbo people fled to the southeast, and leaders there...
See? So when they became independent, they couldn't decide on where the capital was, right? But it's not just that. There was just a lot of ethnic tension and socio-religious tension. And the socio-religious tension was between the people that rejected the white man but were under their subjugation through Islam, ironically enough, and between the people that actually accepted the particular religion of the white man but were able to reject it. And by the white man, I mean Catholicism and Anglicanism. But then at this time, Pentecostalism is rising up as well, and that's going to lead to more socio-cultural distrust amongst the Nigerian people about what Christianity does have to offer because of how much money they make. And we're going to talk about that in another stream.
They opted to break away in 1967.
And they wanted to break away because we could.
Nigerian leadership didn't accept this, and so...
Because they have all the money.
So, civil war. So why were the supporters of each side so varied? Well, the main supporter of the Nigerian government was Britain, who, as their former colonial overlord, felt passionately about the well-being of the Nigerian state, and just kidding, it was oil.
Again, they all realized how wealthy Nigeria could be if they fixed up. And so they wanted to get in early, like on Monopoly. They want to get in early on Mayfair. They want to buy up Mayfair. They want to. And so they want to fund Nigeria so that the Nigerian state is forever in its economical and socio-cultural debt.
British companies controlled about 90% of Nigeria's oil production.
But notice the oil production is in the south. If Biafra break away, that oil production in the south can no longer be controlled by a trade treaty or a treaty between main Nigeria and the British. They would now have to deal with a completely different governmental structure in Biafra, in the Igbo people, and some of the Yoruba people. So it's not within the interest of the UK to lose that very wealthy southern part of Nigeria to a completely different nation state. You see, it's literally not feasible because they would now have to renegotiate, or worse, fight them. And if they fight them, guess who's going to fund Biafra again, guys? Who's going to fund Biafra again to keep Biafra still living and to keep the UK subjugated under its treaty? So you get my point, right? You guys actually understand what's going on. So as we are seeing, right, it's not within the interest of the British to even have Nigeria as a state. But if they can maintain some particular rule over them through controlling their British ports and just have a treaty with a country that already exists since they gave them independence, that would be better than having to now tag along with a new nation.
Most of which went to Britain, and if the Biafran Republic had gained its independence, it may have lost said oil. As
it definitely would have lost said oil. Definitely.
Such, the British provided lots of
or there would be a tariff.
and lots of money to the Lagos government. The US government wasn't too keen on all of the murder going on, but it wanted to support Britain, which meant not really getting involved.
So the US actually supported it and sent some money. They wouldn't get as stuck in as the UK, but they wanted to do it.
And despite America's empathy for the Igbo, if Biafra seceded, it could have potentially led to other movements springing up across Africa.
Because then other countries and nations would just start saying, you know what, let me just make a nation out of my own tribe.
And civil wars tended to see communist support rise, which meant
that if communist support rise, the US would be losing the Cold War, and so you need to support the main capitalist nation. This is why actually communism in Igbo land would never work, because Igbo land isn't a communist land at all. It's actually not communist.
The Biafra would get no help from the USA. Like its rivals, the Soviet government also supported Nigeria, not for any moral reasons, but for political and economic ones. The Nigerian government was looking for some planes, which the USSR certainly had to spare, and since Britain had refused to provide them, that meant that there was money to be made. It was also hoped that help in the Civil War would improve relations with Nigeria, which was one of the most influential nations on the continent.
See? Why? Because they know how important Nigeria is for Africa, because they're the most developed in the way of getting to the prime of their country. Africa will become more important than America as a continent, right, than the Americas as a continent by 2050. So having the most important country in Africa on your side is probably a good guess.
However, the Soviets had to be smart about their support, since if they became too influential in Nigeria,
they would just become a communist country, and then all the Western powers would just step in.
Knew that the Americans would get involved.
See? And you don't want America involved because America, at the time, is the strongest country in the world. And you're already fighting a Cold War with them.
As such, they pressured Britain to provide more military aid by threatening to do it themselves if they refused. This was a bluff since they didn't actually want to do this, but it allowed Britain to believe that they were fighting communism in Africa, when in fact their continued support was keeping the United States uninvolved by making it look like that the Soviets were failing to win influence in Nigeria. As for Biafra, they had three main material supporters: France, China, and Israel. France supported the Igbo, mostly because of their deep concern for their well-being, and it was
just
also
oil. Thank
France,
you.
much like Britain, had oil companies in the region, and if Biafra managed to break away,
they would lose all of the oil. Notice how they all realize, holy crap, Nigeria is rich, and we can't deal with a new nation. I am not advocating for secessionism. I'm not. What I am advocating for is an improvement in the governmental and sociocultural structures of our country.
France could have got some of it.
And you need to have a form of Christianity to do that. Number one, because Christianity is the truth. Number two, because it benefits the nation the most.
Nigerian victory also worried the French government, who saw Nigeria as being too large and populous. There were concerns that a successful Nigeria could influence France's former colonies around it and diminish its clout in the region.
So if Nigeria actually patterned up as a nation with Christianity, so then there's no way that America could get pissed off at it. If it had Christianity as the nation, and if the USSR, obviously being Orthodox Christian at the time, had Christianity and had actually Orthodox brothers, for example, there would be no reason for Nigeria to get attacked by Russia, because Nigeria is an Orthodox Christian nation. And so unless America publicly come out, who they won't come out, because now Trump has a deal with, Trump has now tried to strengthen ties with, I believe it's His Eminence Archbishop El Pedroforos, with the Orthodox Church, i.e. the Greek Orthodox Church or the Ecumenical Patriarchate. There is no way for Nigeria to basically be attacked on any sociocultural level other than oil. But if Nigeria was a unified nation under Orthodox Christianity, it would be able to galvanize literally all of those resources and basically issue crazy tariffs. Essentially, if Nigeria kept all its pieces instead of trading them away, okay, for one and done seasons like AD, they would be able to keep their resources for long enough to dominate in longevity. So rather than not take a deal now, rather than not try to win a chip now, they would consolidate their resources under a particular religion, i.e. Orthodox Christianity. And the reason for that would be because they would have allies in the US, as well as literally the entire Orthodox world. And they would have ecumenical relations with the Catholics, given that the Catholics have been very nice to the Orthodox recently. If they did that, then they would be socio-culturally untouchable, and they would be economically favored, given what Orthodox Christianity requires for the government's particular secessionism. Given what is required by Orthodox Christianity for the government's particular proliferation, right? The church right? The state has to work in line with the church for the proliferation of its sociocultural religion, meaning increasement in education, increasement in infrastructure, as well as in buildings, as well as roads and things like this. As well as the fact that the state would actually fund the religion as much as it can, and more importantly, trust in the state would actually begin again under a capitalist system. The reason why it's not going to be a communist system is the fact that the church is not communist.
As for China, they had just had a very public falling out with the Soviet Union, and since the USSR...
But the only problem why this would never work is because the bureaucrats that are able to do this change actually use the Nigerian government to make their money. Once you get into office, there's no reason for you to want to preserve your people. You don't want to be the one to take the first step forward. So the only way that you can change is if the socio-cultural scheme of Nigeria changed, starting with the South. The South is already predominantly Christian. Putting in Orthodox Christianity there would actually be something that would be very viable for the people, given that there aren't megachurch pastors in the clergy, and more importantly, the clergy would actually be Nigerian. And they would love to actually be able to have, let's say, Igbo liturgies, Yoruba liturgies. Imagine having a liturgy in Yoruba, a liturgy in Igbo. That'd be insane. As a matter of fact, right, on my Instagram, I can actually go to Instagram here. If I go to my Instagram, I actually put a post up of a guy that was able to essentially do this thing that I'm talking about right now. Actually, so this is an Igbo liturgy. By the way, it's my Instagram. Don't wear it out. Okay, follow me over there at SIIIG. Listen to this, right? Sorry, I'm gonna pause this so you can listen. Hold on. So this is Father Chrysostom Onyekakea. Sorry, thank you. Father Chrysostom Onyekakea. This person was reciting this in Igbo. This is actually Igbo. I put the translation down below. It basically just says, "You are God that loves everyone. We give you glory and praise in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit." Right? This would be what an Igbo liturgy could potentially sound like if we get the intonation right. Now, this isn't in Nigeria. This was actually in America, in the presence of Archbishop Elpidoforos. But there are practically zero Orthodox churches or real communions there. There are some spurts, but there aren't anything at all. Orthodox Christianity would be able to galvanize the traditional culture and belief of the Nigerian people, given the fact that there is already a particular idea of, let's say, the saints in Nigeria, i.e. the ancestors, right? You already have a monotheistic outline as well, with God not just being a particular immaterial existence, but also a particular personal idea, right? And Chi, which would be the particular image of God that's already in you, those particular things could actually already be amalgamated with Orthodox Christianity. So there is a lot of congruence with Orthodox Christianity, particularly, and in this case, Igbo culture. Yoruba culture has the same thing, okay? In this way, the religiosity of the Nigerian people naturally would be able to be galvanized with the truth of Orthodox Christianity, and together would create one of the most powerful and long-standing countries in the world, given the amount of time Nigeria has to reach America's stage, right? They need to live over 3 Nigerian lifetimes, right? Because they are around 65 years old now, 250 years, and yet they've done 3 times, almost 4 times as much. They have almost eclipsed America's population in 4 times as less time. Isn't there danger in syncretism? Well, think of the syncretism that happened with Orthodox Christianity and the Greeks, or Orthodox Christianity and the Russians, or the Bulgarians, or the Ukrainians, or the Kievans, right? Or the, I want to say Belarus, or the Georgians, right? Pretty much every other Orthodox country where they've gone in, they've actually taken the particular culture, lived amongst the people, and have brought it to them. And people in that culture didn't forsake the particular traditions that they had culturally or customs, but they actually saw how Christianity can be used in these cultures and how these particular cultures can be conformed onto Christ. That's what you can do. Let's continue.
was backing Nigeria, China had to do the opposite and so funneled arms to Biafra. It also helped China in trying to establish itself as an independent communist leader with its own reach and influence across the world. The last country which was deeply involved was Israel. Israel was in a tough spot, since politically siding with the Nigerian government would have helped to improve relations with the rest of the continent. Since up until this point, the vast majority of independent African states opposed Israel due to the Palestine conflict.
Right, because they were all Muslim.
Domestically, though, the Israeli people supported the Igbo, and so Israel's government opted to help both.
Now, the reason why I don't want it to be, why I think Catholicism would fail here, is because of the particular cultural aspect of what Catholicism is. Catholicism's structure is to support the Pope, ultimately. The Pope is the only autocephalous body in the Roman Catholic Church, and thus the jurisdiction of the Pope transcends every single polity. So your actual cultural identity would be erased under the guise of Catholicism. And this is actually what you see in Catholicism in Igbo land, unfortunately. A lot of people have their particular culture erased. There is no attempt to actually have a particular mass in Igbo. There is no attempt to have any particular mass in Yoruba. There is no attempt to actually try to galvanize the particular culture of Igbo or Yoruba land into Catholicism and what it tries to proliferate as its truth. It doesn't do that at all. With Orthodox Christianity, you actually have a heresy known as Ethno-pilitism, okay? And Ethno-pilitism is really important to understanding why these things are able to proliferate over time. Ethno-pilitism is a particular heresy in Orthodoxy, whereby you basically say that the church or the state itself is put above the church, okay? And this happened when you had some groups that did not want to recite the liturgy in Greek in other lands, and so they actually condemned this as a particular heresy. It's when you don't want to recite the liturgy in English in English-speaking countries in England itself because I just want to be Greek or I just want to be Russian and nothing else. Again, nothing wrong with reciting the particular, there's nothing wrong with reciting the liturgy in Greek or in Russian or in Arabic. Not a problem at all. But when you are in the UK, they can slip into ethno-pilitism, given the particular parameters on what ethno-pilitism is trying to say. And so, given the fact that ethno-pilitism is a heresy, if you put that into Nigeria, what would end up happening is a particular autonomous or semi-autonomous body of the Orthodox Church in Nigeria, where they would have the particular liturgical scheme, as well as their sociocultural practices, and more importantly, the calendar would be something that does reflect Orthodoxy, but Orthodoxy as it was given to the Nigerians. You actually have some feast days, for example, that commemorate certain Greek saints that aren't commemorated in the Russian calendar. That isn't to say the Russians don't consider them saints, but that's the case, right? For example, Patriarch Cyril Lucaris is a saint in the Alexandrian Orthodox Church. However, in the Alexandrian Orthodox Church, as we know, they have certain saints in their calendar that isn't in the calendar of the Ecumenical Patriarchate or the Russian Orthodox Church, and vice versa. Like Saint Dumitrius Daniloi. Dumitrius Daniloi is in the Romanian calendar, but he's not in the Greek calendar, as an example. And so, when we talk about particularly Orthodox Christianity in Nigeria, there are three main languages, with Hausa as well as with Igbo and Yoruba. In Igbo land, they would spread, there are around 500 languages, but they do span the three. Most of the 500 languages actually do have relation back to the three main languages that we typically talk about when we talk about Nigeria. The same way that in England, we have many, many different accents, as well as even language schemes, or even in Ireland, you have three different languages of Munster, Connacht, and Ulster, I want to say. And those particular three languages are still going to be caged under one particular universal language scheme. The point is by using the linguistic entity that is Igbo as well as Yoruba, you can actually cage that into Orthodox Christianity. And that's why I think, actually, ironically, as the Eastern religion, Orthodox Christianity would actually be the most effective religion culturally and economically for Nigeria.
In the end, the support for Biafra did little, and in 1970 it was recaptured and formally reintegrated into Nigeria.
And they weren't ever truly reintegrated. Even today, Biafra still remains a thing. People still say Biafra or death.
And after this, the Nigerian Civil War would not only be remembered for its brutality, but also the peculiar sides that the rest of the world took in the conflict. I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, so that's the end of the Nigeria-Biafra War. That's basically what happened. This is the problem that we ultimately have when it comes to why Biafra is so important for whatever it is we're analyzing, whatever it is we are seeing, and things like this. Nigeria has the potential to be one of the most important countries in the world for Christianity, but the problem is because of the colonial identity of Christianity in there, most people, especially in the South where Christianity should be popular, given the way that Christianity was received in the South as in opposition to the North, people are very much averse to Christianity. And there is nothing that explains this book like the famous book Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. This is the African trilogy, which is No Longer at Ease, Hour of God, and ultimately the very first book in the series, Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart is an incredible book. As you can see, I'm actually going through it myself. And it's basically about It's about the life of an Igbo man, Okonkwo, who basically is the epitomization of Igbo land and Igbo culture. But with the rise of secularization, as well as the rise of colonial Christianity, namely Catholicism, people are leaving the particular cultural scheme that Okonkwo grew up with, especially given the fact that Okonkwo's father was basically a waste man. He was very, very annoying. He was a disgrace to Nigeria as well. But Okonkwo himself was a man. He was the quintessential Igbo man, and he couldn't adapt to the culture that was changing around him. And as it said, things in his life fell apart. And Okonkwo, I believe at the end of the book, he actually unalives himself. And so that is ultimately a telling story about how Nigeria does not want to receive Christianity, but ultimately, in order for Nigeria's culture to survive, it needs Christianity to do so. Because we saw what Nigeria was before colonialism and how easy colonial powers and economic powers were able to just basically subjugate Nigeria, and even how today the workings of political entities still want to subjugate Nigeria under the guise of secularization and under the guise of wanting to help the little brother. Nigeria needs Orthodox Christianity in order to reclaim its pre-colonial past, as well as look forward to its post-colonial future. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to the stream tonight. I know it was a very, very short one. It was around 1 hour and 48 minutes. I don't know if it was interesting for you, but I do thank you for whatever audience was here. I want to say thank you so much to all of the super chats as well. Like, you guys are blowing my mind. If you want to help me out even more, please head over to patreon.com/SYYG1. I talk about a bunch of stuff there as well in the Discord as well. The next stream we're probably going to go over is going to be on Pentecostalism. We're not going to stop the Nigeria streams. We're going to keep doing the Nigeria streams. This was just on colonialism and how colonialism has affected Nigeria and the mindset of the Nigerian people. You will realize that the black intellectual, like I said, the Nigerian intellectual, understands the history of Nigeria, but understands it in a spirit of vitriol. They thus believe that all aspects of Christianity, Catholic, Orthodox, whether Catholic, Orthodox, Anglican, Protestant, non-mainline Protestant, any one of those things, all of those particular beliefs are wrong. And not only are they un-Nigerian, not only are they untrue, they are un-Nigerian. They cannot be reconciled with the Nigerian identity. And because they cannot be reconciled with the Nigerian identity, they must be eschewed. They are not eschewed because they are false. They are eschewed because of how the falsity was brought there. And so they interpret every aspect of Christianity, even Orthodoxy, as just being the white man's religion, which is false. Because Orthodox Christianity had nothing to do with colonialism. Matter of fact, Orthodox Christianity in no way influenced the colonial world. They did not influence the pogroms. They did not influence any of the things that we are talking about. But yet they are blamed as though they were. They are blamed as though they were. And ultimately, it is this idea of Nigerian or a Nigerian identity that confuses the people. There is no such thing as Nigeria. The same way that there is no such thing as Ukraine, insofar as Ukraine is an extension of a particular Kievan people, of the Kievan Rus. Nigeria is a particular colonial term that was given to its people because of the resources those people had. But now we play the cards that we are dealt. We do not leave the Nigerian identity, we embrace it. And we embrace it in such a way that we become a nation in ourselves. And we become a nation in ourselves that are conforms to Christ. We ultimately become the nation of Nigeria truly in order to subvert it back to Christ. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, for we are all one in Christ Jesus. And thus, the proliferation of Orthodox Christianity to keep Christians accountable and to keep Christian leadership accountable. The popularization of organized, set forms of worship rather than crazed charismaticisms, which aren't reflective of the Nigerian people, is that particular case and cause. The charismatic aspect of Igbo traditional religion and Yoruba traditional religion can be cached under liturgical worship as well as post-liturgical worship, like in the love feast as well as in the cultural feasts of the day. When we have feast days and things like this, these non-liturgical practices can be cached under the liturgy and the divine office of Orthodoxy. So ultimately, Christianity is the solution, but the type of Christianity is very important. There have been multiple Christianities that have been done, as well as the fact that there has been Judaism, as well as Islam, as well as the return to traditional belief, which has left the people scarred and has left the people unprogressive. Given that people interpret traditional belief as simply the unprogressive fulfillment of it, right? A lot of people interpret traditional belief as something that is basically backwards and lazy, and it's not. Rather, you should think of traditional religion as incomplete. The same way with the Greeks, although they were very studious and religious and pious in some way, they were incomplete without the Logos spermatikos, which is Christ. They engaged with the Logos spermatikos, but they couldn't engage with the Logos himself. And so Nigerian traditional religion works in the same way. Nigerian traditional religion isn't backwards, it isn't outdated or lazy. What it is incomplete. What completes it is the truth, and the truth is in wisdom. The proverbial aspect, the proverbial culture of Igbo land, the national aspects of Yoruba land as well, can be cached under a religion that seeks to galvanize and amplify the particular cultural beliefs that we do have, rather than a hegemonic structure like Islam, rather than a anarchic hellhole like secular atheism or secular humanism, let's say, because we've actually seen the impacts of humanism in the Nigerian Republic, because the Nigerian Republic were not formed with the idea of God, right? If we look at the Nigerian national anthem, right, we used to actually say God Save the Queen, right? But the actual song is just to rise the compatriots. And in fact, Nigeria's God becomes just God. Chineke nke okike. Sorry. Chineke nke okike. This is Chineke actually means Christ in Christian Igbo. So when we say Christ, we say Chineke because Chukwu is God. So they say, O God of creation, and this is a very deistic understanding of God. But with this particular new anthem that we actually have, Rise O Compatriots is basically a new idea that we have. Okay? And who changed it? Tinubu. He changed it to reflect Islam. He actually changed this to reflect Islam. He says, Rise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey to serve our fatherland. But what is the fatherland? The fatherland was created by who? The white man. We don't actually have a fatherland. How can we be older than our own fatherland? Let's look at Tinubu. How old is Tinubu? Right? How old is Ahmed Bola Tinubu? He's 73, right? Tinubu is 73 years old, okay? Tinubu is 73, right? Right here, guys, you can see. Tinubu is 73. He asks you in his new anthem to serve the fatherland. How can you be older than your own father? How can you be older than your own father? The president is telling you to serve your fatherland, to pledge to obey your fatherland, which is Nigeria, the Nigerian state. You are older than the Nigerian state. How can you serve a father that's younger than you? Does that make any sense? Any cultural sense whatsoever? Any political sense whatsoever? No. Help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true, great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. But we know what Tinubu is doing. The Pledge of Allegiance originally was, I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful and honest, to defend her unity and uphold her honor and glory, so help me God. So the country itself was founded on some understanding of God because the Nigerian people are a very religious people. It is now a matter of finding what that God is you are pledging your allegiance to. It is the God of Christianity that you are pledging your allegiance to. But because of the way Christianity has come in through Catholicism, it's come through aspects of Protestantism that's really bad. The only other option left that has actually been successful in all of the nations where it's become its major belief is Orthodox Christianity, of which I believe, as a Nigerian, the most successful form of Christianity will be a Nigerian Orthodoxy. And this is my conclusion from looking at the post-colonial aspects of Christianity, and as well as the way that Achebe actually talks about Christianity in his books. He's very much anti-Christian, very much. But he probably didn't actually understand the nuances between Catholicism and Orthodoxy. He probably didn't even know what the filioque was. Right? And, well, he was a very deep soul intellectual. His lectures are amazing. And so this is my conclusion. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Put a 2 in the chat if you disagree. Thank you so much for watching my stream, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you ever so much. I really do like the fact that you guys stuck with me. But yeah, thank you. Honestly, it's really encouraging to know that there are people that genuinely care about these topics. And yeah, thank you. Honestly, super chats are on, by the way. This is you can send a super thanks at the end as well and stuff like that. I also have a WAP account, so if you want to find me on WAP, you can send me money on WAP, which is my WAP is SIIIG. That's it. And WAP is WHOP. So that's all you basically need. So thank you so much, guys. I do appreciate it. Do you want to see another stream? Do you want to see another Nigeria stream? I know it's not the same as debate reviewing, but we will get back to that. We're gonna do much more debate reviews, hopefully by God's grace. Yeah, just leave as many likes as you can, and really do share this because it's going to be really important. If you want to see more Nigeria streams, please talk to me, and I might even open up the floor to other people to speak as well. I'm still doing more work and research on this as well, but these are just the groundwork. This is the groundwork. These are the foundations. You know, maybe next time we'll go through each of the 4 republics that actually happened. We are right now in the 4th republic.
Spiridon with $10. Fresh marker fund.
Oh my gosh, Spiridon, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much, Spiridon. So yeah.
Spiridon with $10. Fresh marker fund.
Thank you so much, Spiridon. I do appreciate it. That is basically the end of that. Can you react on Sam Shamounian crash on what? Can you react on Sam Shamounian crash out on Jay Dyer? He crashed out? Well, I think we can. Anglicanism isn't bad though. Please don't fight me. I'm not gonna fight you. Anglicanism is bad because there is no infallibility. And Nigerians rely on authority and infallibility. We do. And the reason why we do is because we understand that without infallibility, we will do whatever we please. And these people, you know, when it comes to these people that are hungry and greedy, if there's no infallible authority that's able to consign the opinion on all the people in the land and all the people in the culture, they will just do whatever they want. Look at Tinubu now. Imagine if there was a church, Tinubu wouldn't care. He would just pay the church off. But, right, the same, these people are like, they shoot without missing. These are the same people, they shoot without missing, they don't care. All the politicians, they buy up everything. But the same way that corrupt people, the same way that evil men have learnt to shoot without missing, so too the church has learnt to fly without perching. The same way evil has learnt to shoot without missing, The church has learnt to fly without perching. The same way Satan has learnt to shoot without missing, God has learnt to fly without perching. And that is actually an Igbo adage. That's an Igbo phrase. It's a proverb. We live on proverbs. The same way the lives of the saints. The lives of the saints, all of their quotes are proverbial. That's all it is. And so too, the same way evil emendations of Christianity have learnt to shoot my country down without missing, so too Nigerian Orthodoxy will learn to fly without perching. Thank you so much for watching the stream. But that's the end of that. There was a crash out, you said?
The same words in Hebrews 1:3. Here are the words of the psalm in Greek.
You said there was a crash out on Jay Dyer.
Here it is here. The Son sits at the right hand of the majesty.
Sorry, you said that Sam Shamoon crashed out against Jay Dyer? Where is it? No idea what you mean fly without perching. Come on. Come on. He doesn't know. He doesn't know the Proverbs. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. So where's the where is it? I'm looking for it. Look in the Discord. All right, I'm gonna go to the Discord now. Just tag me in the Discord now. So Shamoon meltdown over civil debate offer. Okay. I'm gonna see this quickly and then I'm gonna like stop. This is gonna be it. Nagila Hava. Nagila Hava. Wow, he went quick. Okay. Nagila Heristecha. All right, let me see this. Is it that interesting, guys? I'm gonna watch it. It's fine.
Oh, another one. Let's hammer this. Isaiah 40 verse 10. See, the Lord God comes with might, and his arm rules for him. See, he can't stop, guys. Look, he can't stop. He's got to chime in. See, because he wants to be used of the devil. See, guys, watch. Can't stop. And I know he's listening because he wants to be used of the devil. Look, right here.
Gosh.
No, Jay, you're not manifesting.
What was that? What was the screenshot? All right, that was a waste of time. We just had a great Nigeria stream, and you mean to tell me that Sam Shamoon rejected a Jay Dyer debate? Oh, sorry, man. Hey, Jay, if you're watching this, sorry for wasting your time, dude. You don't need to debate this guy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna tell you like what to do because you're a grown man. But like, actually debate him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you debate bums on Twitter anyways, so debating him will be light work. I just think that I know you care more about trying to talk about geopolitics and all that kind of stuff, and you love doing it, and a lot of people love watching you, I like watching you too, in that way. Do I? No, I don't. Yeah, but you get what I mean, cool guy, cool content. But yeah, if you want to, siphon your time to do it. I think we would all love to see it. Yeah, just, I don't know. My point would just be what I'm saying, have fun with it, and you'll probably have a lot of people backing you anyway, so you'll be fine. Yeah, but he doesn't watch my videos, let's be honest, guys. Come on. Yeah, like how many people were live? Like what, 74? Like, come on, dude. He gets like 1,574 viewers, I think. I don't even know how many views he gets on his streams, but yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for watching the video. I do appreciate it. We are finally getting back up to, the 3-digit viewers that we were getting before. I had to go because of studies. I will be back again soon. We have an upload tomorrow, I believe, on a little clip that I did in the stream on Alex O'Connor. And on Saturday, we will have the big live stream that we need for you as well. Someone said we don't need Orthodoxy. Catholicism is still the way. No, it leads to cultural erasure of the Nigerian people. I'm sorry. Okay. So yeah. Thank you so much, guys. I do appreciate you. Keep going live. What to talk about? What? Dude, I'm finished. I'm finished, man. Once the topic is okay. I'll stay for a super chat or two. Okay. If you super chat me some questions, I'll answer it. The text to speech, right? If you super chat me some questions, I'll answer them. Other than that, I need to get going. My goodness. Oy vey. So I did that. But yeah, it's been around 2 hours now in this stream. So this is, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are asking me about, in other news, a lot of people are asking me about the in the football match between, in the Champions League match between, and I want to say Real Madrid and Arsenal. And I knew how bad it was. I was pissed. Did you speak about Biafra in this stream? I did. Jeem is Jeem's out here writing books and I'm out here doing nonsense. You know the reason why? Like, guys are like, Sig, you should write a book. Listen, bro. I'm not gonna write a book because I don't want to. I don't think I have to. I don't think I need to. I'll probably write a book in the future, just not now. Okay? Like, I don't think my content's gonna be authoritative or academic in any sense. Cause like I'm a young guy, like I'm still in uni. So I just want you to be chill. Will it be in uploads? This upload will be still live. But the other uploads, what I'll do is I might put them on the Patreon. So if you want to check them out, you're going to have to head over to Patreon and check them out. But yeah, if you want to catch my streams, brother, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to catch them on time. You're going to have to catch the streams on time, my friend. You got to be here on time when it starts. Okay? So thank you for everything, but you're going to have to be here on time.
Anonymity with €23.99. No question, just well done.
Oh, Anya, thank you, man. Anya, thank you, man. I really appreciate you, man. I do appreciate you guys so much. You guys can go over to WAP as well. If you guys don't know what WAP is a app in it, so you could like send donations, like $5 or $10 donations. I know a lot of people were like asking how, but this is my WAP. This is my WAP. It just says I'm a Christian and I'm a researcher. It's my name. It's my WAP. Don't wear it out. Is there a schedule? Nah, see, I'm trying to go every single day. I'm trying to go every day. And I'm trying to take this channel through the direction of debate reviews and like argumentation reviews. And the reason I want to do that...
Anonymity with €23.99.
Oh, it's the other one.
No question. Just well done.
Thanks. Even Muslims rate you. I don't know if that would count as good or bad, but yeah. I don't think Muslims rate me. I'm not going to lie. I think Muslims think that I'm pretty, like, I'm a PRICK. They think I'm a bit of an asshole. And if you are Muslim watching my stream, become Christian, bro. But thanks for watching me. But I don't think it's good that Muslims like me. I don't think that's a good thing. I'm going to go through the super chats now. Gamron with 199 said, God bless you, Sig. Have a good evening. Thank you so much. I have a lovely time always talking about my country. Paul Smith just had £10. Paul Smith, again, man. I appreciate everyone that helps me with the money. Can't hear you, bro. Oh, a nice bucket hat by Luke. So that was Walk with the Spirit for $2 New Zealand. Thanks for the bucket hat. I might wear this more in stream. Luke sent $1.99 and he said, nice bucket hat. I appreciate you, man. I really do. Thank you. It is a nice bucket hat. Yeshua is Lord sent 20 big ones. Ayo just sent £2.
Ow, with £2.
Thanks, Ayo, man. I appreciate you. Yeshua's Lord 7 said, well done, bro. This is great. Very interesting. I pray Jesus protects believers in Nigeria. Africa is the future of Christianity. We will talk about Boko Haram. People want me to talk about Boko Haram is on my list. All of this has just been colonialism. All of this has literally been how Christianity got in here. So what did we learn? We learned Christianity came in through shackles and Bibles. That's how we learned, right? And that's a basic history. But it maintained its existence through the culture. Even after its colonial affairs, Christianity still affects the Nigerian people. Soldier of Christ with $5 Canadian. She says, or she or he, I don't know. He says, or they said, Sig, good work, man, but Real Madrid is cooked and Arsenal are going through. Can we finally see Arsenal win a UCL trophy? I swear to God, if Arsenal win a UCL trophy, I'll cry. I can't have Arsenal win a UCL trophy. Please, God, please. God, please, please, God, please. Please do not allow Arsenal to win a Champions League trophy. Please, God, please, please, I beg. Vinicius Jr., please save us. If you can hear me, Vinicius Jr., please. Please save us, Vinicius Jr., please. Please save us. Florentino Perez, please save us. If you can hear me, please. Florentino Perez, please save us. Oh, my goodness. Please save us. Rodrigo, please save us. If you can hear me, please save us. My goodness. Spiridon said with $10 big ones, he said fresh marker fund. Nah, thank you so much, man. I do need equipment. And you obviously just said well done. Yeah, but yeah, I just went through all the super chats, guys. I do appreciate everything, you know. And how can we forget big boy Jordan himself just said gang. He dropped a whole duffel bag, bro. This guy is not real, bro. Jordan Flores is not a real chatter, bro. Yeah, this Easter finna be fire. Yeah, man. Easter's gonna be a lit time. I'm not gonna lie. Easter is gonna be definitely like a really, really good time, and I can't wait. But if you guys keep, you know what I'm saying, keep the community going. If you guys keep going up into the Patreon, doing those kinds of things, you know, super chats, all that kind of stuff, that's great. But what I really like, the people that I appreciate the most are just the people that leave a like and they comment and share. That's it. Because it increases the community substantially. And the reason why that's good is because you always want a community of people that always want to improve themselves and work in their faith in Christ, but more so work on the good information info. You know, this channel, while it doesn't provide pastoral advice, it does aim to strive for a good, loving community. And I hope that that's the thing I leave behind once, you know, everything is said and done about my online content and things like this. I'm not a pope. I'm not a priest. I'm not a bishop. I'm not a pastor by any means. I'm a normal guy, humble guy. Oh, no, I'm not a humble guy. I'm a very proud guy, actually. I'm just a normal guy trying to do my best. And do I get things right? Sometimes, yeah. But do I get things wrong? A lot of the time, yeah, I do. And the most important thing is to address it, you know, is to address when you get things wrong. And to anyone that I've ever offended in any way that I've been impious towards you, I want to say I'm sorry. You know, I am sorry. I don't know who you are. Don't know where you are. Don't know how I've offended you. But if I have, I'm sorry. And please, please, please forgive me. I was wrong. And I hope to improve in the future by engaging with the love of Christ. And so I am sorry, you know? But I won't apologize for things that I haven't done wrong. You know, if I haven't done you wrong, then I'm not sorry. if I have, I'm sorry. And you know what? You know, even if I haven't, I am sorry. You know? Sometimes it's having the courage to say sorry that is the start and mark of true repentance. You know? But sometimes you also need to have the courage and the bravery to not apologize. Because sometimes you aren't wrong. And sometimes even your approach is not wrong. Sometimes your approach is really good and pious and what God would be proud of and what the saints would be proud of. And sometimes just the people or individuals that you offend, maybe they don't get that. And that's okay. You know, we're all learning. We're all walking. We're all still striving in the faith. You know, I'm never going to condemn anyone. I'm never going to say someone's not Christian or someone's not this and that. It's not my job, you know? What I will say, though, is I do want you to improve. Taron
Singh with £20. How much of the spread of Christianity was through colonialism? Any good books on it?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a big link between colonialism and missionary work?
Definitely.
I'm ignorant on this and should really know more. Taron Singh with £20. How much?
So what I will say is when it does come to the spread of Christianity and colonialism, the particular sections of colonialism that we do have, we know for a fact came through colonialism. The teaching and reading of the scriptures was given primarily through colonial religiosity. We know that as a fact. What I'm concerned with is the sects of Christianity that did not come through that, which is Orthodoxy mainly. And so, you know, even white people have written good books on it because it feeds the narrative of Christianity being bad and coming through slavery. So it's just documented history, but it doesn't matter, right? If it's true, it's true. And if it actually does positively improve people, it does. Just because the means themselves are bad does not mean that the end or even the right intention is bad too. We don't have to believe in the doctrine of double effect. We're not Thomists, you know. So sometimes there may be an ill means, which is sinful in itself or bad in itself, and there might be a right intention and a right end, which are good. And you can hold both of those things in tandem. Orthodoxy was never brought through slavery, through the shackles and the swords. It was never brought. And aspects of Christianity, some ideas of Christ as creator, which still proliferate Pentecostal Nigeria today, or the limitedness of the power of Christ as God really is still present there because of Islam. Because when Islam is brought into a new nation, in order to understand Islam, you need to understand the previous revelations that came before, and so you need to explain Christianity in some way. And so Christianity is definitely brought through Islam as well. And that wasn't necessarily brought through slavery, although it was in many ways as well. So there's all of these particular aspects. But there's books all over the place that you could probably read on that. You could probably go to your local shop and just see colonialism in Nigeria, how Christianity affected something, and you could find documents on it as well. So there's never going to be any like particular books that's going to like change your mind about colonialism, because you have to accept the fact that Nigerian religion, i.e. What we see as Christianity in Nigeria, was brought through colonialism. The question is whether or not that particular idea of Christianity should stay there, or whether it should be replaced by true Christianity. And my answer is yes. There were some Catholic Christian communities before the 19th century, but it was really little. Yeah, exactly. There were missionaries, for example, in the Congo, and they would obviously move west. And even Congolese Orthodoxy is very, very strong. Ghanaian Orthodoxy is pretty strong as well. It's growing. And that's the main thing. And so in this cultural and socio-religious battle for the dominance of a religion, we are going to see them happen. And now, if we tune into the Sam Shamoon stream, it said, this guy, Jacob Rosario, said, Ortho bros and radical Thomists are akin to the ancient churches. Uh-huh. Okay.
Bilderbergers, Alex Jones, where are you? Yet for us, there's one God the Father, from whom are all things, and from whom we exist.
I'm so confused.
Now watch here. You ask Alex. Ask Alex.
Oh, he's doing the whole Alex O'Connor stuff. Make a video dissing Somalis. The Somalis would kill me. You know this. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it from me. Thank you for all the super chats again. I really do appreciate it. You guys are honestly amazing. Thank you so much. If you have any other donations you do want to send, go to WHOP. That is WHOP. I'll write on the thing right now, actually. If you have anything else that you want to quote give or whatever, I do appreciate how everything is done. Also, another thing that I want to talk about, the concept of roads is really important for a nation. Like, having good roads is really important. Like, a lot of people don't understand this. Like, we talk about, like, buildings and stuff, but the connection between them is so important. Roads are really what... Whoa. You know, roads are really what make up a nation, dude. Like, you need roads, dude. Not even for cars, but just for easy transport as well as policing, right? Law enforcement, crime and punishment. And that's another reason why America is also better. Law enforcement is obviously better in certain aspects than Nigeria. But yeah, it's basically this thing, WOP. So I get all the proceeds if you send it here. And my WOP is this. So, yeah, if you go over there, my WOP is this. This is it. But yeah, roads are really important. That's the end of the stream. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.